participating in hybrid. And we will be doing roll call votes tonight. We no longer have to read the big spiel. That's good. Great. So I'll accept the motion to. There we go.
Attendance level members.
Oh, okay. Want to do a roll call just for attendance? We'll start with everyone except Dave, and hopefully he'll get on by the end. So Joe Topham, here. John Kirchner,
Here.
Seth Engelberg,
Here.
Mary Longacre,
Here.
Britt Johnson. I do not see on the screen. You see him, Megan? No. Okay.
Steve just joined us.
So we'll just consider him absent at the moment. Christina Jelmy,
Here.
Wendy Hudson,
Here.
Don Holgate.
Here.
Barry is not here tonight for medical reasons. And that little chair, vice chair will be chairing the meeting.
And Dave.
Thank you.
I'm here now.
Oh, Dave, there you go.
Sorry I'm late, everybody.
Good. Okay. So I'll accept the motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor, Dave? I got you first on my list, so,
Mr. Chair,
but, sorry.
you moved faster than I was expecting.
And sorry I'm first on your list.
Hold on, Dave, we gotta,
Item C, ongoing discussion enabling legislation. The chairman had asked that we postpone discussion on that until
Okay.
I can be present, so.
okay. So with that, so we're gonna postpone the discussion on the enabling legislation until Barry is back for his request. And I agree with that since he is completely unable to be here, so. Right now, so with that change, I'll accept. Well, with that change, Dave,
Yes.
you wanna say aye?
Aye.
Joe Topham, aye. John Kirchner,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg,
Aye.
Mary Longacre,
Aye.
and Christina Jelmy,
Aye.
Wendy Hudson,
Aye.
Don Holgate.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Is there any public comment for items not on the agenda?
Yes.
Go ahead, Hillary.
Hi. So since I came prepared to speak about the enabling legislation, and I was kindly invited by Leslie to do so, and since it's not on
And
the
Dawn,
agenda.
and that was Dawn's statement.
And Dawn,
Last
thank you for mentioning that. Since it's not on the agenda, and there's the bill is back on the warrant for the special town meeting. And I know you probably won't meet again for a month and that warrant will close. So I thought I might make a quick comment.
Yep.
So I have been following the discussions about, and I know where you've landed as far as how you want to change the commission. My comment is that the reason why I brought the legislation, and I brought an article, a citizens article back in 2021, 3 years ago now, was because I felt that the commission could be more responsive with a different mix of people. And key to that was to have some more elected members, and to open up a path for folks to serve on this commission because their core interest was long-range planning and not have to go through other boards and commissions to serve on this commission. There was the only way to get on this commission, if your passion was, looking at Nantucket 20, 30 years out, was to either serve on another commission or be an at-large member that would be chosen by this commission. So I also felt that there wasn't really a precedent for commissions that choose their own at-large members, that usually there's some checks and balances and ways to create more turnover. So I guess my concern about where you guys have been going is that it doesn't it really doesn't create a path, to get on the commission for people whose passion and have so much talent and so much to contribute, but maybe have different ideas. They can't go to the electorate right now and say, I want to be on this state planning commission, regional planning commission. So I just wanted to remind everybody that that really was the impetus, and I'm concerned that what you guys are running with, it's not on the warrant yet, but it seems to not follow that thread. And I hope that could be considered. It also doesn't have a voting member chosen by a preservation planning group. And I know it has staff support, but it's different when you have a vote. And it's different when it's someone that commission says, this is our representative and they're representing us. So I thought a lot about it. It has a lot of support. It has 211 signatures to be back on the warrant. I think that's probably more voter signatures than has ever been put on a warrant ever before. It's enough to call a special town meeting just to discuss this in and of itself. And I just think that maybe some of these ideas should be considered a little bit more seriously by this commission, or at least discussed with me. So I hope we'll have a chance to do that.
Well, you were openly invited to, participate, come to the meeting, which you can do anyway.
Yeah.
You certainly know when we have them.
Yeah.
And I don't think that anybody has not wanted you to engage in this discussion as far as the collaboration of this process. We did make, and I know this is public comment, it's not on the agenda, but we did make a lot of changes, and some of them are yours. Okay? And
that was actually yours.
well, no, the land bank idea was mine, but I'm not gonna get into the discussion about that. Because I chose not to talk about it for a year, okay? But you just have to trust me. But anyway, we made a lot of changes. Removing 2 planning board members. We did a lot, but I think, Hillary, and I think we can have this discussion at maybe the next meeting. Summer, it's easy to get here now, all that. Is to discuss this elected versus appointed. I really want to have that conversation, but not tonight because it's not on the agenda.
Yeah.
But we really need to talk about that because that is that's a complicated discussion to have.
Yeah.
So,
But
okay.
I appreciate the invitation. I'd like to reach a compromise that I can say to all of the petitioners that I support, because there is a lot of support, and I really hope we can have that discussion. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Hamilton.
Oh, Campbell, sorry. Very loud over here at the end of the table, Campbell, with our 1960s air conditioner.
I can imagine. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. Wasn't quite sure what was going to happen with this. So my question had to do more with whether you were going to be taking comment during the discussion portion of appointments, or whether I should make comment now during public comment.
No, you can make a comment when that process starts. But this is just public comment for things not on the agenda.
Yes, and I did.
Like every other.
I did appreciate the discussion that you just had.
Which was
Hillary.
Should have gone, but I think it's warranted at the moment.
Well, I think it's I guess one of the things I always think about with this is, especially how often we in the legislative branch are told that, it's change, and change is hard, and nobody likes change, and that's why everybody complains. And I think that, we all try to adjust and deal with the change and adapt. And I would just like to encourage this board to, you know, do the same kind of thing that you're asking everyone else to do. Really, you know, push the edge of the box beyond your comfort zone and see what you can come up with to make it, you know, more inclusive and less, I don't want to say combative because it's not really combative, but contrary with the legislative portion of us out here. So thank you, and I will try to stop in for the later discussion.
Okay, thank you, Campbell. Does anyone else have any comments? Megan, there's no one else, right? Okay. All right, let's move on to the minutes of May 20th. Want to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
No second.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Seth, seconded by Dave, I believe. All those in favor, Dave,
Aye.
Joe Topham, aye. John Kishner,
Aye.
Seth Engelberg,
Aye.
Mary Longacre,
Aye.
Christina Jelmy,
Aye.
Wendy Hudson,
Aye.
Don Holgate, and the chair votes aye. Mike, you're up now for your item A, the TIP program.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sharing my screen. Is that showing up on your end correctly?
Same picture, it's always there.
Very good. So the first item on the agenda was the authorizing a 21-day public review period for a fourth amendment to the current Transportation Improvement Program, or the TIP. This amendment impacts the operation budget for the NRTA, which when the TIP was originally approved, $618,000 was approved for operating expenses. This request would add a little over 1.1 million, almost $1.2 million to the operational expenses for the NRTA. It's actually broken down into different types of operating expenses, and that apparently was a requirement of adding the funds, is that they be separated out into the different categories. But it all adds up to about $1.2 million. The ask of the NPDEC is to authorize a public review period to start this Friday, June 28th, and end at your next meeting on July 22nd. Staff will will work with the communication staff to advertise the TIP amendment and seek public comments through the Zen City website. Happy to answer any questions, but the requested action is that the NPDEC authorize a public review period for amendment number 4 to the FFY 2024-28 Transportation Improvement Program from June 28th, this Friday, to July 22nd, 2024, with a public meeting for discussion and action at your July 22nd, 2024 meeting at 5 p.m.
Anyone have any questions? Not, accept the motion to approve the 21-day review period.
So moved.
Second. So motion made by Wendy, seconded by Joe. Dave?
Aye.
Joe Topham? Aye. John Kishner?
Aye.
Seth Engelberg?
Aye.
Mary Longacre?
Aye.
Christina Jelmy?
Aye.
Wendy Hudson?
Aye.
Don Holgate?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Mike, the UPWP now?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just on the TIP amendments, just as just a quick commentary on this, this is your fourth amendment to the TIPs, and if this is successful in being approved, you will have added about $1.1 million in funding through this amendment process to the TIP. So just we're just keeping track of all the funding we're adding through this amendment process. So the next item on the agenda is the draft FFY 2025 Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP. This was presented last month for the public who doesn't know what is the UPWP. It's essentially our work program. It's federally required that we outline the program tasks that we undertake or transportation planning activities that we undertake in a given fiscal year. It includes administrative, data collection, planning activities, and implementation activities. There is some direct cost budget that's provided through that program, and this year it'll be $22,702.28 that will cover travel, equipment, and some professional services throughout the fiscal year. Here's a large table that breaks down the various tasks by hours and operating expenses. The total value of the UPWP for 2025 is about $330,000. That funds planning activities that include strategies that limit single occupancy use, a process that was getting a little bit more traction in recent weeks is development of a traffic model for the islands. You're all very aware of the ongoing safety action plan that we provided an update on last month, and we still have activities going on for finalizing the safety action plan in coordination with the Martha's Vineyard and Franklin County regions. Tasks for parking management and complete streets activities. And there's a variety of implementation activities that are ongoing that include grant management of federal grants that we do receive. We did not receive very much public comments on the UPWP. Only 3 comments or participation in the survey. We had 2 positive comments or support for the tasks that are included in the UPWP, 1 negative response, but I think that might have been an error because it was we do have our activities strategies to limit single occupancy vehicle use. The negative was that single occupancy use was bad for the islands, which I think we all agree with, and we're actually developing our task. So I think we might have had all positive feedback from the public on that. But again, very, very small, but very typical, judging from years past on public participation on the UPWP. We did have the public review period from the end of May through this meeting today on June 24th. Participation was solicited through the Zen City website based on the comments that we received from the public and the edits that we received from Mass DOT. Staff is requesting that the NPDC take action to close the public review period and approve the FY 2025 Unified Planning Work Program. And Mr. Chair, we do have the comments that we did receive from the public provided in the packet, and the draft UPWP is provided in the packet as well. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you want to have any questions? Mike?
Yeah, not a question per se, but thank you, Mike. And I just want to respond a little bit to the comment about single-use occupancy. And I want to remind everybody about, the ongoing projects that we have going on with the battery electric buses and the fare free for those buses. And in my opinion, these 2 changes are some of the best things that Nantucket has ever done in its entire history of existing. And maybe I'm biased because the bus stop's right outside my driveway and I can take it into town instead of parking there. But in the past, I had been a user of the bus and I saw relatively limited occupancy. And now on any day, even in the middle of the week at a random time, buses are completely full and there's people waiting at the Greenhound. So I think, it's not necessarily for the UPWP only, but I think we definitely, Mike and everyone here, need to develop strategies to turn that pilot program into a permanent solution for the island that happens in all months on all routes. I just like to say that while we're in the transportation planning update, that is critical for Nantucket. So thank you.
Mike, can I just ask a question to follow up what Seth was said? What is the timeline, if at all, for the chargers downtown along that little strip there that they're supposed to do? Is that probably working okay now, what they're doing with those electric buses running them mid-island, so they don't have an issue because they're not charging them downtown? that kind of what's going on?
Correct. I think once they get to the end of their charge, they switch out the equipment. I can't comment too much on that. I don't know the inner workings of that. I'm sure we can have Gary come on at the next meeting and provide a little bit more description of that. As far as charging at Greenhound, I think that's a project that's not going to start this summer. It'll probably be more of a
I kind of figured that
fall
would
winter
be able to happen. I mean, it's just too much to do that fast. Okay,
It would be, can I just add, it'd be great if
Go ahead.
Barry come just,
I'm sorry, it's,
yeah, I know, yeah. I was just thinking it'd be great to see the data, like how many, like if the ridership is up so much as Seth is witnessing and,
I actually noticed what you just said.
Yeah.
Like, I drive a lot and I noticed a lot now that there's a lot of people getting on. I don't know what bus they're getting on. I don't know if they're going to the beach. It doesn't look like they're going to the beach. There's just a lot of people. And
yeah, I think the
that
free
might
is
have
terrific.
something
It
to do
just,
with it. It's just easier to do.
if we're driving too much demand now, we're gonna need, and I know the budget can't grow more than a little bit, right? So
I mean,
gonna be a
it's just-
balance in
I think this is a big step to the next year.
Yeah.
Really, that's how I kind of see it. So,
Yeah, I just am aware that October isn't that far away. And the pilot program of state funding is only through then. And we need to really have these conversations now about how we can make this sustainable for the future.
Yeah, I would,
Don.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, Don. Sorry, Don, can you?
Go ahead.
You want to?
I was just gonna say, I would suggest that you invite Gary to your next meeting.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen the numbers, but I've already heard for May, they will weigh.
Yeah.
And it's great, and I 1000% agree that we need to make it permanent. The big debate is, do we make it permanent by funding it through paid parking? Which was the original plan,
Yeah.
there's been so much opposition to paid parking. So we need to talk about that a little
That's
bit and
a
whether
whole
we want
nother
to fund it a
conversation.
different
That's-
way.
I see that as.
But
Yeah.
direct
airline
use.
bus service and now free bus service are the biggest strides we've made in dealing with the traffic
I mean,
situation.
in getting him on, he knows what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah.
He has a good,
He's
way
really
of
good.
speaking. Doing a great job.
You should invite him to the next meeting.
I think, I think there'll be some way to make paying a nominal fee really easy at some point where it's not people fumbling around with cash, all that kind of stuff, confusion, whatever. So I'm not saying that that's gonna happen, or I'm just saying at some point that may end up being normal, So anyway, John,
no, I just wanted to follow up on something Seth said about, this being one of the biggest things that we've seen on the island. I absolutely agree with that. And to me, it's one of those things, when you drive past the downtown parking, not where the buses are, you only have to look at it and see, this is the new world and that's the old. When you look at the two different vehicles, and it's almost like you don't need a lot of stuff to back that up. It's just, this is what the future looks like. And we're lucky to have Gary that sort of so quickly taken us there. So good job by everybody, man.
I mean, it's, as I said before, numerous times, the airport's in town. No one ever knew that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're always struggling with the parking, the boat. It's like separate entity issues and the 2FG lot, shuttle to that. I mean, it's just so many moving parts, but to see this happening is really good for regardless of anything else that's not improved.
Yeah, if I may, Don, I hear what you're saying about the payment mechanism and the funding support for that. And I think that there is so many ways to fund this program, especially because we adopted the battery electric buses. There's probably, a lot of like resiliency money and climate change money out there that we could apply for, or the state might just be willing to continue this program in the future when they see the occupancy numbers, but we can wait for Gary to talk about that. I think if it comes down to spending money from a parking source, if we have to do that, we have to do that, but I think there's probably 3 or 4 other much easier funding mechanisms before we even have to consider that. So, let's just let the people who know what they're talking about figure out the funding.
Yeah, I was just thinking it might be helpful.
Yeah.
If this board gave, some feedback to the select board, because we've kind of been on that track, and I'm not sure that kind of comes to a screeching halt at a certain point. And I'm not sure that how much more energy we should be putting into paid parking right
It'd be
now.
nice to have something that's already in place, financing something to do with this, with the subsidizing part of it, or whatever the case may be, whether it's the embarkation fee, something that's already in place, instead of some brand new thing that costs a fortune.
But all that money's already.
I know where that money goes. I just brought it up just for fun. It's been about 10 years since I brought that up.
We're trying to increase it at the hardest.
So anyway, Mike, you're looking for a motion to close the 21-day period, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair, close the public review period and approve the FY25 UPWP.
Okay,
So moved.
is there a second? Let's see.
Second,
Second by John, motion made by Don. All those in favor, Dave,
Aye.
Joe, aye. John,
aye.
Seth,
Hi.
Mary,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
the chair votes aye. Thank you, Mike, so much for all that complicated stuff that you do.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, if
Still
it's okay,
on.
this was in the packet, but not necessarily on the agenda, but I just want to let the commission know that Mass DOT is having a capital investment plan public meeting this Thursday at 4 o'clock. And if you'd like to participate, you could register it's a very simple web address, mass.gov/CIP. If you want to learn a little bit more about statewide investments, and that does include the bridges, it does include MBTA and a lot of statewide initiatives. So just FYI for you all and for the public who might be watching this meeting. So thanks for letting me share that.
Thank you, Mike. Okay. Next up is the NOAA discussion. Leslie.
So just to update the commission from the last meeting, there's been a lot of activity surrounding the right whale vessel strike reduction rule. A lot of meetings have taken place. Matt and I attended the consultation for the NPDC today. I think that went well. We invited Peter Burke from the chamber to join us. I've uploaded a lot of letters that I've received just during the course of this to the website where we registered for a consultation to have those as supporting documents. So that's all done. And I'm working with town administration with their consultants to get an economic impact report from UMass Donahue Institute. There's a contract on the select board's agenda for Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have some information on that by the end of August, and maybe some more in-depth information after that. Hopefully it's in time. But I heard today that there's some additional movement to delay this rule from going into effect. So, but, it's still playing out, but I've very much been involved with a whole team of people, throughout town government, the Nantucket Hospital, Steamship Authority, Byline, Chamber, and then some consultants to reach out and do whatever we can do to save our opposition. So.
All right, can I comment a little bit and then take off? I just want to mention Peter Burke just real quick. That guy did a great job today. Like, I'm impressed with him. Like, he said things that I wish I thought of. Because what happens with these conversations is everybody's trying to say the same thing differently. We all know what's wrong with this. It's like you can check off about 15 things. But you got to say it a different way than the guy that just spoke before, right? Well, he came up with something today that was I have not heard anyone say it's like almost like severing the electric cable. That was good. And those people were listening, even though we couldn't see them. I could tell that they were definitely listening to us. So, because they probably all now know that Nantucket isn't just summer only, you know, Northern Caribbean, no one's there in the winter. I mean, it's amazing. I don't believe they really understand what goes on out there. So I just wanted to say, give him a little plug. He did a really good job today. So anybody have any comments on this topic? Okay. Articles of planning concern. And when you say planning concern, when we write that, that means commission. Which is different, and we normally don't have a comment on the warrant from this commission, but we can. And sometimes it's a comment for the select board's comment.
Wait.
So,
And
so,
typically
We
we'll
do.
provide a recommendation to the finance committee.
correct, okay. Well, either way, you know, depending upon what the article is. So,
So
you want to start that?
I will. So there are 5 citizen petition articles that we've identified that may be of interest to the commission. There are not any zoning articles on this list because that's something that the planning board will deal with. Those are all short-term rental articles for the most part. I think you all may know that there was a sort of a select board subcommittee put together to try to come up with a compromise for the 3 citizen petition articles to deal with short-term rentals, and that's still in the works. It's still up for its adoption on Wednesday, but that's just so you all know what's going on. So I'm going to talk about 4 of the 5 articles, and then I'm recusing from the discussion about 13 of them. So for sewer map change at 44 Skyline, generally sewer map changes, I think, are something that the commission doesn't comment on, but in this case, this area is where a lot of the PFAS work has been taking place with the extension of water services. I know from the sewer director, there's a concern about a plume. They're doing a lot of heavy excavation work. So we recommended that that the commission support the sewer extension for 44 Skyline and 42 Montahat. Also at 42 Montahat, there's a religious institution operating out of that site under a tent right now. They use porta potties. So I think, you know, constructing a facility with connection to sewer would be good for public health as well. The other article, 81 Washington Street. That one we thought maybe a planning commission concern because the petitioner is requesting that the select board purchase, or the town of Nantucket purchase the building and then retain senior services there in perpetuity. And that may be something that's contrary to planning. We've talked about some coastal resiliency stuff there, possible parking, possible roadway improvements. So, you know, committing to the senior center within that location may not be the best for long-term planning. And then the act to amend the enabling legislation, which is something you all may want to talk about. There was one minor change, you know, Ms. Raytor is here, maybe she wants to present that to you. But this is an article that you did not support in the past, but you know. Megan, I think she maybe go over, we're going to have a conflict on after we finish this.
You want to do the conflict one now?
So let's do that last.
Okay,
I can comment.
I can too, and I know you have a lot to say, and I was gonna actually ask you to give a kind of a little 5-year, 6-year. And who owns what and all that stuff, because it is a little confusing. So do you want to talk about 44 Skyline now? Or you want to talk about the 81? What do you want to talk about? The Skyline one is sort of, yeah, just. We just did something with a paper street for the drainage and level line over there too. So I mean, there's a lot of things going on in that area kind of that are important for not because somebody's trying to build more houses. It's
That will
because,
get its sewer rating.
what was
It
that?
will get its sewer rating review as well.
Yeah,
Whether that will determine whether it's going to require a majority of 2/3.
And I'm on the sewer rating review committee and we're waiting on some more information on this one.
okay. So do you want to take a vote on this?
Yeah.
As, you know, just as a recommendation? And just go to the next one? Do you want to do it like that? Okay. So does anyone else have any comments about 44 Skyline? Before we go to a vote? Okay, so I'll accept the motion to, are we gonna do positive or are we gonna do support? What words are we using?
Usually you use support.
Support, okay. Sometimes they change. So I'll accept the motion to support the sewer map change for 44 Skyline.
So moved.
Second. Second, motion made by John, seconded by Joe. Dave? Wherever you are. You're not out to dinner yet, are you?
I am voting no on that.
Okay. Joe? Aye. John?
Aye.
Seth?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Wendy?
Aye.
Don?
I'm gonna abstain because I'll have another crack at it.
Okay. And Bear, myself, chair votes aye, sorry. Okay. We got all that, Lane, sorry. Okay, we'll go to. What are we, oh, I see what we got here. So the sewer map change for 42 Montahans, same thing
Same thing.
for the most part. We all know what this is. This used to be. Oh, I know what house it was. It's out of the safe place. So do we all know what parcel we're talking about on the right when you come from both south? Okay. Anyone have any comments on this? Before we go to the same motion? To support? If anyone wants to make that motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion made by John, seconded by Seth. Dave?
Nay.
Joe? Aye. John?
Aye.
Seth?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Wendy?
Aye.
Don?
Abstain.
And I vote aye. Dave's going in the porta potty business. Okay, the next item is the legislation that's being put back on the warrant. Is that going on this coming warrant? Okay. I didn't. All right, anyone have any comments that are on this discussion?
Could be. Was there an agenda?
Yeah, you can go ahead,
Yeah, thanks.
Hillary. I'm just saying,
Oh, sure, I just wanted to
No,
indicate
go
I
ahead.
wanted to make comment. I put this back on the warrant, to give the voters another opportunity to show stronger support. It was pretty clear that, the state wanted to see more definitive support for these ideas before they took any action, even though it did pass. And so this is an opportunity for people to either, support it or decide that they don't want to support it, be it as it may. I did feel that, potentially there were some folks in 2023 who didn't support it because there was a very strong message from this commission. Multiple members of this commission spoke on town meeting floor saying that you were working on your own version of legislation and that you'd be bringing that forward at the next regular town meeting. And it hasn't happened. And when I watched the last meeting of this commission, there was discussion about, well, will we put something on the warrant for special town meeting? And it seemed like that might be unlikely because of all the other things you're working on. So I put it back on the warrant because I think that that there is a need for some change and reform, and I didn't want it to go away. But I did want to be responsive to some of the things that I've heard this commission. I mean, I do attend your meetings and I do often, they've all been on Zoom today. I mean, except for the last one, but the ones discussing this have been on Zoom. And I do put my hand up. But I have heard concern about the term limits. So I did propose one change, which is that instead of a strict 9-year term limit, which would be three-year terms, or 9 1-year terms, it's 9 consecutive. So after you've served 9 consecutive years, you have to take a year off. And I sourced that idea from other boards and commissions. For example, the Cultural Council works that way. Mass Cultural Council, the enabling legislation and the general law calls for consecutive years and then you have to give up. So that's the one change. And again, I hope that we can have a discussion about a compromise, for example, a compromise that we all might be excited about, that the voters might also be very excited about, and the state might be excited about. And that's a discussion for the future.
Thank you, Hillary. And I can talk all night, and I've been told not to. But I can certainly talk about this a lot. Does anyone have any comments about this particular issue? There's a lot of, go ahead.
I mean, I think the change is a positive one. Because, as we say, sometimes not enough people are interested in serving.
Right.
So to have it, the consecutive years is a lot better.
I mean,
I still think that there needs to be more compromise amongst all the parties to be able to really send something to the state with broad support, but I think we could get there.
Yeah. Sorry, Donna.
Can you not hear me?
I heard. Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
I think the way we restructured it, I think with the 3 planning board members, I think that there's gonna be rotation. I think that that's gonna be the positive. I think it's gonna turn out that what Hillary's recommending, we're gonna achieve that quite easily. Where I think that some people are gonna get on, be a certain portion. I mean, I know I was on feedback and now I'm on CPC, so we do kind of switch seats. So I think that's gonna be an automatic, just timing. And we all have terms of 5 years, so I don't know what's gonna happen 4 years from now, where I'll be or whatever, or what they'll be on board. So I think that may be an automatic. So I understand what she's trying to do. I just think it may take care of itself.
Some of the things, and that's, do you want to say something? Okay, Seth, do you have something?
Yes,
Sorry, I didn't
please.
look.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
Mr. Chair. Yeah, so it might not matter because 9 years is different than 6 years, but the example that Ms. Rayport pointed out with the Cultural Council, they have a 6-year term limit and then you must take a year off before serving again. And this isn't just some theoretical thing. This happened, I believe, last year with Justin Cherney, who, if any of you know who that is, has been one of the most bold and creative advocates for cultural programming on Nantucket, probably in the history of Nantucket. And, so maybe 9 years is enough to make it not make a difference, and that by 9 years, people are trying to retire anyway. And, I don't know. So I think I think having a mechanism where the term limits aren't set in stone forever is better. But I still think, what's the point of the term limit? The point of a term limit is to encourage new membership in the board, which is great. But what if you have someone who just is so dedicated and they hit their term and they can't continue to serve? And then that year where they're having to be off the board, they reevaluate their priorities and they decide to join other boards or nonprofits or whatever it may be. And then when they come back, they don't have time to do the service again. So I think there is a way to have a term limit that is is reasonable. That doesn't necessarily cause people to sit out time. And again, maybe 9 years is enough of a difference in 6 years where it won't matter. But I'm just worried that you're gonna discourage longstanding people with a lot to offer and a lot to contribute to not want to serve again after serving. So thank you.
Seth always amazes me, one time per meeting, or if not more. So Seth just said a whole bunch of stuff that I sort of have in my head, so I'll try to come up with some other things. So I've been serving since 2003 or 2004. I actually came to them. And a lot of people have come and gone over time, as Joe indicated. There's a natural change that happens here that is healthy. It's inevitable. People get older. They, before Zoom, couldn't go to Florida for the winter and participate in meetings. I mean, I won't get into the things that happen because of that, but it's true. I think the confusion, one of the things that bothers me about this discussion is the confusion between the MPDC and the planning board that is so evident at town meeting, let alone any other discussion. Public doesn't understand what this commission is capable of. Not all powerful like the Bini Commission is. I just heard some stories over there the other day that are just mind blowing. You think we have regulations and hoops to jump through? Wow, do they have hoops? What I want to do is get this right. The name change, getting rid of that, as Denise Crono calls it, the alphabet commission. Which is actually true. And, getting all these changes right. They won't be perfect, but I do like, and it took me a while to get over it, reducing the number of planning board members to open up for more other entities, etc., and adding, and the ability to rotate, which what Joe brought up, I think is a really good point. That will happen by itself. You'll have a planning board member that decides to take a year off on the commission for whatever reason. That will just happen by itself. This is going to open up the ability for what most of what Hillary is asking for, other than the elected part of the at-large. I mean, see what happens with Shab? It happens with the Water Commission. Same thing. Like, there's not going to be people running to sit at the dump to be an at-large member on the board. It's not going to happen. It's important to keep it appointed, in my opinion. The term limit part, Bobby Foster and I had a big coming of the minds at town meeting about that, and we voted that down. He wanted it, and I didn't. And I still feel strongly that it's the worst possible thing for Nantucket, because there's a limited number of people. And what Seth's talking about with the institutional knowledge, you got to have a Jack Gardner if someone like him is here. And if he's been around a long time and decides to get off planning board like him and Donald did, and they want to serve on the commission, they should be able to do that. They know more than everybody in the room. I mean, that's how it works. And so I am in favor of a lot of change, but I'm not in favor of the elected part and the term limit piece for sure. So, and I do feel that since this is the fourth go around at town meeting now for this, I believe. Town meeting is not a public hearing. It's hard to talk to people about the town meeting. You can't get into all the little various things that we are an advisory to the select board. This has to be done this way, and there's just so much confusion with the public when you start talking about this. The most important thing of all is the state and how they see us. And I don't want the state to think that we are like having a meltdown in Nantucket. You know what I mean? I want it to be simple and be able to be approved at that level, as if everyone has vetted everything and they see this as the right thing for us, because that's what it needs to be. And we send a lot of home rule petitions to Boston and they get sick of it. So, Mary, sorry, I didn't see you. I'm sorry about that.
So not to follow up on your comments about elected versus appointed, I want to, give it a little bit more flesh to that discussion. Right now, the at-large member who is appointed, there are no qualifications or restrictions on who can apply. But if we're trying to get 5 elected members, first of all, they have to, in order to run for election, they have to be voters. So we've just narrowed the pool by at least half of Nantucket citizens. Then they have to be willing and able to spend the money and the time to mount that campaign and do the paperwork and everything that's required. So get rid of a whole bunch of other people, that just aren't able to do that. If we have to keep it as an appointed at large, all somebody has to do is say, I'm interested. And, and that's all it takes. And to me, that's a very democratic and open avenue for people to serve on this commission. I don't think that creating 5 elected seats is going to enhance the diversity of representation on this commission. And I'll further add, I don't think we've ever had 5 people applying for an at-large seat. If we don't get 5 people who want to run a campaign, what does that do to this commission? So those are my thoughts on that particular issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah. Oh, no, let's go over here. Wendy, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, in the spirit of the compromise, I think 5 is too many. I think you all remember I was saying 2 at one point, 2 elected, I thought was a fine thing to have. I'm very still in favor. I like the 9 years. I'm on so many boards around here. Most of them have that 9 years, take a year off, come back, whether it's like your most major donor.
I'm talking about off island.
No, I'm here.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
here. Most of those are nonprofit, so I do say that's different. But it can work well, and I don't see that as being a really big problem. When it comes to being on this on the warrant, I think Hillary is right to keep like a little bit of feet to the fire. It's gone on a long time, and it's helpful to have, nothing happens without a deadline. So I'm, and public input is good. So I'm in favor of having this just keep rising. And I think the conversation and the hope would definitely be that we have exactly what we just said, and we come to some agreement and we present a united, thing to the state and to the community. So I think being in person is super helpful too. I'm happy that, we're all in the same room to a much bigger degree than we have been. So it feels more productive when we can be together. So that was my 2 cents. Yeah. Yeah. Good old days.
Christina?
I think Wendy just said everything I wanted to say. Just kind of back to Mary's point. I mean, I understand the argument about elections, and that appointments are easier, but at the same time, the appointments are done by the same group. And I really like the public input and the public input from the town meeting, giving the public some say in where we're at. So I really hope that we can come to some type of compromise. But I reiterate everything that Wendy said.
Okay, very good. John, and then I'll go to Joe and then back to that.
So, Mr. Chair, I'm kind of new to this discussion, but I've been
Paying attention.
Yes. So I guess I would only say one thing, that I think the appointment system will bring more talent to the table than the elected system, because the kinds of people we want, you sort of know who they are, but a lot of them are not going to go through the election process. They're not. But if they feel that their talents are needed and required and asked for, I think they will serve. So, you know, from just more of a general point of view, I favor the appointed system to elect in this case.
Thank you, John. Seth? Oh, Joe, rather, sorry.
No, I agree with what John and Mary are saying. I think the appointment, and I've done both, I campaigned and I was elected through appointments, and one for the Concom, and then of course getting on this, and I found that there was not really anything was more or less, but it was I had more interaction with the people that were elected. I felt like when I campaigned, I just got a lot of thank yous for running it, but I felt that that was more engaging for me. I had more interaction with the select board members and et cetera. So I kind of like the appointment, but I also feel like the way we structured and, you know, put our article together is that it's going to be more adaptable. We're going to have people coming and going. And if there's a project that comes up, then certain planning boards. I mean, we have, you know, members that have different strengths and weaknesses, and we can just be adaptable. And this is coming up. I should go on there and I served this time. That's why I got back in the CTC and John sat down because I got a new project for that. So I think that that's a lot of interaction that we should be adaptable. We should be moving. And I understand what Hillary's saying. There was a rigidity or some, you know, no change of course. And I think that the way we restructure this, and we've all had the arguments and discussion, is going to take us in a better direction, be more adaptable for the change in something comes. So,
Something you just said, I want to go back to about little Seth next. I didn't think of. Good. So Seth, go ahead.
No, you can go first.
All right. Okay. So what Joe said about appointments to other, we're on all these different groups. You know, Capcom, except if they get appointed out of here versus out of the planning board. That's important because when somebody is like, let's say a planning board member wants to get on something that takes a lot of time and they get off the commission and they switch to somebody else that's a planning board member. Like these things, this is the natural evolution that will happen by itself. Like we're trying to force things, especially here, it just doesn't work. You've got to let the system improve, but don't try to force it to be something that it can't be. And that's, I think, part of the problem when we make this big of a change. I mean, we've got the town council study committee right now, which is that's gonna be huge coming up next spring. Okay, that's gonna make this look like, you know, nothing compared to that. That is gonna be a massive discussion. And again, when I said our capabilities, I don't want to get into all that minutia, but there are a lot of things that we can't really do that are being, on occasion, made to sound like we can do certain things that we can't do. And that's just not true. What I look forward to personally is joint meetings. That is the best thing that we've done in a long time, having the joint meeting with the HDC, Planning Commission. I'd like the land bank to be part of it at some point too. I don't know if we can all fit in here. Maybe we'll have to figure something else out, maybe add a trailer. I don't know. But add to the look. But that joint meeting is better than all these other changes, all these strategic plans. Everybody's got a plan. There's plans over here, plans over there. It is complicated for the public to follow all this. But when you can sit with the people that are in their various positions and talk shop about Nantucket's issues, it's way better than individual boards. I'm telling you, I love it. And that's what we need to do. So personally, I know we can do that without any changes to the MPDC, but it's kind of the same discussion, changing the MPDC so it's more up to date, and at the same time having joint meetings is important, in my opinion. John.
Well, yeah, I'd like to say something about that, in support of that.
Yeah.
Because you know, I'm fairly new to public service. You know, I had a very, you know, I'd like to think successful and varied business career. So my first foray was to the short-term rental workgroup. And I, before we were even halfway through, I thought, you know, I must be nuts. This is no way to get stuff done. Open meeting laws, can't talk to you, and otherwise it's just rolling. You know, so I thought, I'm done. Once this,
You gotta look and see who's in Stop and Shop.
yeah. So I thought to myself, when this is done, I'm done. You know, I can't, this is not how I, you know, get everybody in the room, nobody leaves till it's figured out. Kind of guy. However, the short-term rental work group went on way longer than we thought it was going to go on. And one of the good things personally that came out of that was I stopped being so frightened of open meeting laws. And I thought to myself, this time around with the things I'm going to get involved with, there is no, we can have the kind of meeting that you're talking about, and I agree with you about the joint meetings. They can be open meetings. You know what? What's to stop? You know, we can still have vigorous dialogue, points of view, and not be concerned about who's listening and who's not listening. So I agree with you, and I'm looking forward to being part of, you know, those kind of meetings, because it is the way to cut through stuff and get to the right thing for the island, and not just for this group, that group. That's not. So I agree with you.
Mary, sorry.
Thank you, Nat. So I wanted to add one more point, and that is, you know, the NPNDC is sort of unique that it doesn't represent a segment of the island. It represents the entire island. And I think it's important that we have those representatives from other committees to bring their perspectives so that we do have a very well-rounded view of what's going on in the island and what the priorities and issues are. If we switch to 5 elected seats, we lose that diversity. We lose that guarantee that certain segments of the community will be represented. You know, we could end up with people who are very similar to one another. Maybe they're all running for the same reason. So again, I think that having the representatives from the other commissions is a strength for the NPNDC, not a weakness. Thank you.
Yeah, agreed. Seth, go ahead. Sorry.
That's all right. All right, so some people might find the following comments annoying or whatever, but I strongly believe that, you know, if you look at the legislation that has been re-entered for this special town meeting, I think it's fine for the article sponsor obviously to do that. That's the process of government that we have, and I'm glad that they receive so much support for it. And obviously that person has been actively involved in our meetings. But it sets up this binary outcome where either the proposed changes that are in that bill, people are gonna either want to support that, or they're gonna want to support the changes that are being proposed by this commission. And it's not collaborative. I understand the spirit of wanting to find a compromise or get to a place where we can agree on some of the changes. But the way it's set up, it's creating like an us versus them mentality. And I understand the comment from Ms. Rayport about how this commission has moved slow. We have moved slow. I'll admit that. I think everyone will admit that. And we do need to get to a end state. But I don't necessarily think moving slow is a bad thing.
Yep.
If you look at the history of American democracy and our Constitution at a fundamental level, our entire political system was set up on a system that purposely moves slow, that purposely takes a lot of effort to pass new laws, to enact new policies. That's the system that we've used in this country for more than 200 years. Is it annoying? It can be. But that is our government. That's true at the federal level, state level, local level, and a regional level, which we're operating at right now. And sometimes you need to take a step back and respect that if you move slow, you can create big change fast. We are trying our best to listen to the community and to create a functional board, a functional commission that advances our outcomes into a modern commission. And we do need to sit down with the article sponsor and all the petitioners, and we do need to create some compromises. And we probably should have a workshop meeting to do that. But we also have to think about the rationale behind each of these proposed changes. And we need to think, are we just doing this because this is what the people want? Or are we doing this because this is going to advance us to an outcome where this commission works better? I don't operate under the assumption that we should have government operate by doing what people want. That's a way to win favors. That's a way to get reelected or reappointed. It's a way to, deal with controversial topics in the short term, but it doesn't fix the problem that we're having here. We need to create a commission that is founded in rationale and that the choices we're making help us get to the location or the outcome that we're trying to do. So I think we need to, not set up this binary system, but we need to sit down and have a real conversation about all of these topics, not only whether we like them or not, but whether they'll actually do the thing we're trying to do. And that would be my recommendation. So thank you.
Also, give you 2 minutes.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So I really appreciate listening to all of this. And I think that really, we don't want change for change's sake. The reason this has been very difficult for me personally. I hope everybody knows that. And I'm not.
You decided to do it.
I did it,
Your
and I stuck
decision.
with it because I'm passionate about Nantucket. And that is something everyone in this room has in common. The only reason to do this is to try to create an island that in 30 years, our children will love and that it will be a real community and a real place. And that's the goal. I am not interested, and nobody is interested in just moving deck chairs around on the Titanic. We're trying to create, positive movement. And I really like the idea of a workshop and focusing on why do we need to change? I mean, you guys might come back and say, you know what, now that we think about it, we don't want to change at all. So I support that. I've taken a lot of notes. I have different positions. I think it would be a very productive discussion, and I hope to have it for a long time, and I'd like to see how it could be structured.
Campbell, go ahead.
I don't know if we're supposed to say anything, but
No, it's okay.
so I've been listening to a lot of really interesting points of view. So that's lovely. I sort of have two comments. Having served on committees and no longer an acceptable applicant for committees, I can see what occurs, and when you're inside the circle, it all makes sense, right? And so you're on 4 different boards or commissions or committees, everybody's got their hand everywhere, right? But through the current appointment process, it all has a similar tone. So you don't really get the diversification of people and their experiences. And not everyone has a positive experience when coming in front of committees or commissions, or when they're watching what happens during the appointment process, they think, oh, I'm not going to do that, right? So it has a way of sort of pushing people away a little bit. But what I really like about Seth's piece with the binary is it really harkens back to the short-term rental thing that we just went through. And was that 3 years, right? Where individuals would bring ideas, petitions forward, they'd get knocked down, we'd have a group, but it was on that binary process. And it sounds like from, my listening anyway, that finally we're at a point where we've got the select board working with the, all the group working together to come to a compromise. It's going to give us the best outcome. That's what we're looking for in all change. It's the best possible outcome. Not that everybody's happy with every little thing, right? But that we have what's going to work for the whole, for the best, where we're giving up our own thoughts for what will be the best for the greater good. And so I really like that. If that could happen before we get into do you like our article or do you like our article? If we
Unfortunately,
that
that's
doesn't always work.
the system that we have, Campbell, though, the town meeting
Right.
creates that issue that you're bringing up. You can't
Yes.
stand up and get another crack at the conversation, or you forgot to say something. Oh, because it's not a public hearing. It does not function. It's trying to be a public hearing. Town meeting wants to be a public hearing, but it's not. And you
Right.
get cut off, you can't say anything else, you've already spoke. And it's over. And somebody calls the question, the clickers aren't working in the new gym. I mean, whatever's going on affects that. So, but I hear what you're saying. When we talk about liking Nantucket in 30 years or what our kids are gonna think, I want it to work next year. Like Nantucket is not, what I'm talking about is all this, the whole housing discussion. You hear, we're gonna be talking about traffic for 2 months. And we have the steamship issue, which is gonna be okay. It's just things come and go. They get hot and they get cold, okay? We were just talking in the other day about how many times we voted against roundabouts by 10 votes, 16 votes, 8 votes, the day they were connecting the sewer and blocked the road. For Monomoy, it was the day we voted for the last one. Great day to vote for it, wasn't it? Because the roads were closed. That was a smart idea. So it's just, there's so many things. We vote for the fire station twice. We're gonna vote for the Island Home twice for a lot more money. I mean, we cause a lot of the problems ourselves. I'm not saying the system's broken. I'm just telling the truth. That's it. So collaboration between boards, to me, is more important than any change you could make at any board. That's what has to happen on Nantucket, because there's a lot of smart people in different positions here. I'm a firm believer, and this is actually a point that I didn't make yet, about people staying where they are. There's a lot of people that are really, really good at where they are. Okay, and they really shouldn't leave that spot because they're good at it. They shouldn't be told they have to leave because they've been there 9 years or 12 years or whatever it is. Okay. I mean, that finance committee is a great example of that. So it's just, this conversation is complicated to have when it gets into the public eye too much, as far as, I don't say too much, but too much confusion at a meeting that no one really knows why we're even talking about. Okay. So anyway, so who else do we have? Dawn, sorry.
Just going back to the beginning.
Yeah.
I think that the change is a positive one. However, I don't really like the idea of term limits, because I think you do run the risk of losing someone who's in the middle of doing something really good. I think 9 years is a long time too, but fundamentally, I feel like we could move in a really good direction to have some collaboration on this. The thing I feel the most strongly about is making the switch to 5 people that need to be elected, or reasoning that we could end up with vacancies. because
Right.
the election process is
That's why I brought up,
pretty,
yeah.
it's pretty hard to
Good
put
example.
yourself out there like that. However, I would love to not do any more appointments because that's like the most horrible part of our job at the select board level,
And-
having to pick people.
Yeah,
But I mean, I would like to see us make a motion that we recommend that no action be taken on this. And that we immediately schedule a workshop to try and work through this and see if we can find the common ground between the proponents of the article and
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 ours.
the NPNEDC. And then bring something to the annual that everybody supports. And a change could be made, and if 5 years from now it's not functioning properly and there's vacancies. We could change it again. We really want to do it right the first time because home rule petitions, like you said, are not well loved at the state level, coming from Nantucket.
Exactly, no, that's important.
But I mean, I think that maybe this commission could, consider one or two elected people, like when he said. I think switching immediately to 5 is hard. And there's
And
been
you
a
have to
long
remember, you
time
have
debate
elected-
between elected
Have
and
elected people
appointed and everything.
on it already,
Right.
so.
Well, and
And-
if you wanted those same people to have to run for 2 different things, it's a bit of a challenge.
We've
too.
talked about that at our meetings already, about the rotation part, and some of the confusion about term limits was also the town meeting about, was this about the planning board members too? Is it, what is it really about? Is it about just the at-large? So there's a lot of confusion with that for an audience I'm talking about, not a workshop audience. I'm talking about we're at town
And I
meeting
mean,
and you can't
the
explain
audience,
these things.
people want some kind of change for how things are planned out on Nantucket, because they see the problems.
And it just,
Government takes a really long time.
yeah, it does. And this is a really good conversation, but I don't want to dive into the Washington Street Committee and the steamship and that area. But you talk, and it kind of fits into 81 Washington Street. The amount of different moving parts that are going on in this island and that have to eventually happen in our lifetime that's enough without adding anything else. There's a lot of different things, but the key is what you said. It's not just one entity doing it. It's a whole bunch of collaboration. And that to me is the biggest issue moving forward, whether you're talking about athletic fields, you're talking about Easy Street, you're talking about Washington Street, or whatever it is you're talking about. There needs to be more collaboration here to make the voters and the general public think somebody's running the place that knows what they're doing. Because that's important. We are going back to a sort of an old way of thinking in a modern time. And I see that
That's
every day.
change comes when we.
When I talk to people about why the same pothole is still in front of the harbor master's office for 3 years, I actually have an answer to that, but it isn't a great answer, but I do have one. But it's hard to talk about things like that. 3 years. Anyway, I like your motion. So does anyone wanna? You wanna make that a motion? Don?
I believe the recommendation should be to take no action pending a recommendation from this board while collaborating.
Is there a set?
Could I just ask a request about the motion or a question about the motion?
Sure, go ahead. Can you just speak up? Yeah, you got
No,
a hot glass.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
You were saying.
I think it just got louder.
So badly, and I felt like I was yelling and I didn't like that either, so.
Oh,
My
yeah, yelling, that's
question,
right
my
now.
question, Dawn, is, would you put a kind of a timeline about when the committee would be formed and when the meetings would happen? It just, we don't want to move quickly, but I think the deadlines are a
Yeah.
friend.
What I had said was for the annual town meeting.
Yeah.
The Brit to commit to having.
Well,
something
workshop with
ready
the
for the annual,
MPNEDC,
Which means
is what
we need to
I'm
be
seeing it
done.
as,
By
not an actual committee with a bunch of new people.
Right,
No.
and that's what I understood too. I just think it would be helpful if some of the discussions could happen before the special.
Think we can do that?
Yeah.
Nothing else going on.
Have the first meeting.
I mean, but that's okay. I mean, I
Yeah, at
wanna,
least have a meeting this summer
Yeah.
when more
Yeah.
people are on island and all.
Should it be in the
Of
select
course,
board
I'm
room, or
getting
it should be
myself
somewhere
out of
else,
this.
or-
Yeah, I mean, we are running up on the fact that there is potentially gonna be new commissioners in just a few days. Here now, but it is.
you're not
it is.
going anywhere.
That's how these things work. And
You're not gonna reappoint.
I'm not, but, and so I think, we should make a motion today to have at least the first meeting scheduled before the special town meeting so that the article sponsor and the petitioners know that we are operating in good faith here.
Get all of our stuff out. So it's on the screen and we go through it a little at a time, why we decided. Why I disagreed and then finally agreed to a few things, because it made sense. I mean, there's a lot of work that's gone into this. It doesn't seem like there has been, but there has. It just hasn't, nothing's happened in the last few months. But, huh? Dave, go ahead, sorry.
And are you done that?
I thought the hand was an airplane. Sorry about that.
No, listen, and food for thought. I'm not opposed to having a committee or however we're gonna do this, but I would really like to see us finish what we've started, at least have it in a solid form. And then when we come to sit down with Hillary and whoever, whatever public members want to be in, we have 2 articles here and maybe like or some have tried to do it with the short-term rental work group, go through each and see, what we like, what we don't. Maybe we'll take some from hers, she'll take some from ours. And I think that that's a better way to approach this than to start having committees when we haven't even finished the work that we've started. And I understand that Hillary wants to do it before special town and I think that's a great idea. But I also think we need to finish our work at least 99%, which I think we're really close to before we start a committee and start discussing another change.
Not suggesting a
Not a committee, Dave.
Or a work group or
No,
any of those words that
the workshop with the
down my
FAQC.
spine.
It's workshop, Dave. It's meant to just be a meeting that is specific to this.
The public
topic.
workshop.
Yeah,
strict
I mean,
for
that's
this-
what I mean,
yeah.
but you understand what I'm saying, Dawn, that it would be nice to have more of a finished product on our side as well when we start workshopping these things.
Maybe you guys need to meet one more time before you do the workshop.
Yeah, and that's my concern only, so thank you.
What's the time, like September 17th?
Yep.
Hillary,
Yeah, I just, Dave, my only concern about that is I think Seth made a really good point in saying like, we've got these 2 commissions, it seems oppositional. We've got the press wanting to fan this conflict. I don't want conflict. I'd like to land these together. And I think that the suggestion is rather than each kind of stake out a final position, let's land them together.
well, that's, I think, what Donna.
Can I respond?
Yeah,
to
if
that?
you finish, yeah.
Can I
Go ahead, Dave.
respond to that? Yeah, no, exactly. I'm not looking to make this oppositional at all, but you have a finalized document that you would like to put forward, and I think that to be fair, we would like ours mostly finalized before we workshop this as a whole. I'm not trying to be oppositional at all. I just think that it's better if we as a board's thoughts are complete with what we think is right, because your thoughts are complete pretty much with where you are, and then work together to either combine them or find a middle ground. I'm not opposed to that, and it should not be oppositional, and I'm not trying to be that way in any way.
I think there's a motion on the floor. so-
No, Joe's got one, something.
No, I kind of agree
Oh,
with Dave,
okay.
but going back to what Seth said, I don't want to force something that's either not ready for prime time or it's like gonna, be oppositional to what we're trying to do. And I think that if we can you know, maybe Hillary, you can say, listen, if we're not ready, you know, we're gonna wait till the annual town meeting. So I think there's gotta be some give and take. If we can do what we can do, but if we're not 100%, then I don't want us being back against the wall. So that's where I'm just a little nervous about putting a time frame. So that's why I like Don's motion of like, let's try and get it done, but I'm afraid that September 17th is gonna come really quickly, a lot of stuff to do. So I'm just a little nervous about that. That's just my 2 cents.
So Christina, go ahead, and I want to go to staff real quick after you, just.
So point of clarification, if I may, you're not requesting that we have a final by final collaborative decision by special town meeting. You're just asking that we have a collaborative meeting
Yeah.
to start the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I personally can support your motion if there are some definitive dates and put in with that it's a group meeting, including Hillary. I don't think she's at a point of being definitive, so we have to be definitive. I like the idea of coming together and merging the two ideas. But I do also feel that by annual town meeting of next year, that we have to have made these changes finalized.
Yeah, and realistically, you have to have this work done by October,
Yeah.
like by a month-ish after town meeting. We don't have the timeline for the annual yet, but it's probably gonna be the first week of May.
My point is that September 17th is like on the doorstep. She's got an article in and we're still trying to get some stuff on.
Listen, and we could get really positive, and we don't have to go to town meeting to change the planning commission. We can submit the article to be changed. And if there's enough positive, you know,
Acceptance.
acceptance of it all, maybe that's the route we take. Because of the timelines of the confusion of fall and deadlines and all these other things that create more things to go slow, which is what causes it, part of it. So keep that in mind as well as an option if things go well, we don't have any opposition and we're all in agreement. Nobody, believe me, there's not gonna be people slamming, you know, coming to our meetings saying they don't agree, because this is a good internal thing to get solved, in my opinion. You already spoke. Yes. How do you feel? You too. This is important.
Part of Dawn's motion, she actually said some things that I wanted to say when my hand was raised, which is.
Did I not see you? And I'm sorry about that.
It sounds like the commission's not supportive of this particular article at this time. You already have your own process going on. We'd like to collaborate and let's set up a workshop to get that done. So.
A workshop with the NPDC,
Right.
not a new.
Yeah,
That's never
just
gonna work.
Yeah, commission members and whoever chooses to participate.
Yeah.
But as, was pointed out, the select board sets the warrant for the annual town meeting in January. So whatever work is done will have to be done by the fall sometime.
As Dave said, we're like 99% there. We just need to kind of, clean up a couple of things that we were talking about, and then have a discussion with Hillary at a workshop and talk about what we agree on and what we don't, and all that, kind of start out there. I think that is what Dawn is saying. And everybody else. So can I section?
I just have a quick question. On the.
I'm gonna get in so much trouble.
On the,
Go ahead.
September.
Very. Really gonna kill you.
I'm wondering about Hillary's point is at town meeting, if you guys are able to meet in a positive fashion or whatever in some format so that on or before town meeting, there's an ability to sort of say, yes, we agree with holding up.
Oh, that'll be the easiest thing we've ever done, if that happens.
Well, right, but
Yes.
that's why that September meeting
Right.
before that date is important,
Yeah.
because otherwise people will run forward.
That's what I was, that'll be, yes, got it.
So that's why
true.
I was
All right,
trying to say
John,
that is an
you
important.
want?
Yeah, a quick one.
Okay.
So, I just want to give some support to what Dave said about finishing off your work first, so that you've got a product that you can come to the table with. Because, you know, we've just gone through a very successful short-term rental select board collaboration process. It started with all three groups having, in this case, their article. So everybody started with what, you know, they really wanted and what was agreed. And I think to take a couple of 3 extra weeks to get the hours to that final point is time well spent. Because if not, it's like, well, perhaps we should have had this instead of that. No, take the extra bit of time, get the final piece, as Hillary has done, and then that's where,
Yeah.
you're all starting.
We're in agreement,
So-
John. You got it. Yes, yes. Motion made by John, seconded by Joe. All those in favor, Dave? Oh, wait a minute.
Can you just clarify the motion?
We- yeah, we-
Change a little.
Are we taking,
It's going in a letter to the finance.
no, the motion that Dawn has, we didn't add the take, oh, no, we did add, she did have the take on action, right? So sorry. Yes. Yeah,
And
okay.
scheduling a workshop.
yeah. That's
And
it.
what,
Yeah,
can you
in
finish the
advance.
conversation? Can you finish it clearly? There was like a date thing that we were trying to get in.
So in advance of special town meeting, we'll be holding the first workshop, is what I got from my notes. Is that correct?
Okay, so that's gonna be in,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So, motion made by Don, seconded by Joe. All in favor, Dave,
Aye.
Joe, Don,
I,
Seth, Mary,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Don. The chair votes aye. Wow. Okay. How's the owl doing? Pretty good? Let's see, one eye.
They just upgraded to 4.0. We don't have that one yet, so.
Jeez.
Okay, so Matt, do you want to go to 81 Washington Street?
Yes,
On,
and I, Dawn, can you just, you know, I know what I think about that, but you know more than I do about 81.
Well,
The confusion about the ownership, who owns the building versus the land and all this stuff.
yeah, I mean, the NCA,
It used to be the Boys Club,
It's NCA.
so you guys know.
they own the building and they're having trouble with like maintenance and so forth. But I mean, the ultimate plan, which I certainly don't want to commit to continuing that in perpetuity.
No,
because it's
absolutely
for
not.
that building to go away.
Yeah.
And to be recreated on the current our island home site. But there's a lot of
Moving parts.
things that need to be put into place.
Need to
The annual
control
town
the problem.
meeting will be
Bottom
going for the big vote on the island home. Which is gonna be one of the biggest financial asks we've ever made because of the current cost of construction for a healthcare facility. But then it continues all of those pieces falling into place.
Right.
And there's a whole plan with the land bank to create more resiliency there, but I also see that parcel somehow start functioning to help with some form of transportation issues.
Yeah. Parking and possibly talking to that guy in the sewer, the wastewater, I mean, the stormwater guy the other day at our meeting. He knows what he's talking about, Charles Johnson guy. And there's getting control of that property is the most important thing. Cleaning it up, making it under the town, so there's not any surprises. That's, sounds like an old arrangement down there from the past. That kind of needs to get cleaned up.
It does. I don't know that this article is the right mechanism for it, but
Well, then we need to have the right motion and define.
I haven't actually talked to the town administration. So,
So this article is asking us to buy the land or the building or we own something already down there? Or no,
Yeah, who's the land?
The land,
the land,
We
so
do.
we're just.
but it's
so-
restricted.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, go ahead, Brooke. Sorry.
So Brooke Moore, my understanding is town meeting approval is not needed for this building to be sold or gifted to the town. So this is an unnecessary step,
Okay,
and I think we believe in the long-term planning in that area, that it is in our interest to own the building. So I would think a cleaner version of title transferring to the town without contingencies like programming has to happen in perpetuity. It could be gifted, for instance, with a contingency that senior programming will continue there until
Still.
an alternate location
That's-
is found, right?
yes, yep.
But I don't think this, we don't need to.
It doesn't
So-
need to be
so we
through
need
town
to-
meeting.
Yeah.
So we need to take no action for, and then an explanation for this.
So I can add the explanation that I don't require.
What Brooke is saying, that Dawn just nodded, it's actually the meat and potato reason, not the, just what we might do. We don't need town meeting to do what we want. We shouldn't be.
I think their big issue is they don't want to continue to maintain the building, and then
Oh.
we're gonna have to budget to maintain it.
Well, that place is kind of runs itself.
But
a little
they've
bit.
been kind of asking about this one.
Okay,
So we'll work on a comment.
all right, so do we need to take action now, or do you want to wait till the next
Yeah,
meeting?
Motion, do you need a motion?
Okay.
Suggest motion,
All right,
not to support, and staff can write a comment based on this.
Dawn, you wanna
Sure.
take that?
Take no action, but with the suggestion that town administration, and select board work with NCEA to sort of accomplish the same goal.
Yeah, seconded by Joe. Motion made by Dawn, seconded by Joe. Dave,
Aye.
Joe, John,
I,
Seth, Mary,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Dawn.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Thank you. And again, was this a citizen article?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, this is the way things work.
So Leslie Richards from 1313 Woodland, essentially, this is similar reasoning as 44 Skyline and 42 Montecastle Road. It's an area with PFAS contamination, it's in the really well recharge district. So for that reason, getting staff to recommend that you support this article.
So there's two lots on Woodland that aren't suing.
None of
Now,
Woodlands, none of Woodlands, still,
it's on 20.
yeah,
Been on 20 for 100 years.
not sewer,
Yeah.
not a
It's
single
all
one.
around. Isn't there, okay. Isn't there a line that's running over to Richmond from there somewhere or from
There-
the state or something?
There, I feel like there's something on Kim that could hook in that way. I think it is somewhere along the connection into 44 Skyline, which is a
So-
direct abutter to 13 and 13.
I don't mean to, ask like uninformed questions, but I feel uninformed at the moment. So I didn't realize that Woodland was not, none of Woodland's in the sewer district?
None of Woodlands.
Why are we talking about one lot?
Two lots.
proposed.
There's also a zoning change that's not.
I know about
part of
that,
this
but that
discussion,
doesn't-
But it does go hand in hand, so you can't get an increase in density and development if there's not sewer, but then you also have the PFAS issue and,
Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I'm sensitive to that, but I think within our scope of purview right here, we should be doing anything we can to bring sewer into areas that are contaminated by environmental chemicals like PFAS. But even if it's annoying and doesn't fix the rest of Woodland Road, we should still support it.
and I can tell you this has support from the health department and the sewer department.
Well, all right, so. Woodland is R20.
So most of 13.
Those lots are 20 or not?
It's split. It's half R20 or a portion R20 and a portion 1-2. But 44 Skyline is also
This is one of those. In 44 Skyline's part of that,
It's a separate article, but it's flood 2 as well.
you're not gonna get your zoning change just because you get it added to sewer. I can tell you that. You know, so I see them as separate items, and I hate when sewer gets tied into zoning because it really shouldn't be, but that's the way things are here, especially from the old day stuff, you know, nobody believes me that R1 went onto a state forest at one time, so we looked it up. Pretty scary. So I don't know. What does everyone else have to say? I kind of see this as a take no action, like a little bit, but
I was just gonna add to, in addition to PFAS, it is in the public wellhead recharge district, so in those areas, you wanna encourage connection
yeah,
to sewer, get rid of septic systems, so I think, you know, that is also a suggestion for support, and as well as the health department and the sewer department.
Nah, I understand what you're saying.
it's happening. I mean, no, I
Yeah,
understand. I mean, I'm in favor of
so.
sewering much more, but this is ringing back to Monomoy and bringing back to the end of Milestone Crossing, or only a little ways away from Hinsdale, you know, and I'm all in favor of it. But with the zoning change part that we know about should have nothing to do with this at all, in my opinion. It shouldn't reflect the decision. So, anyone else have anything? Christina, go ahead, sorry.
Can I just have a point of
Right.
clarification? If you're saying, and this is just being completely layman's terms, but why is only one piece of property being asked to be sewered if as you're saying, the woodland area, that entire area is not being sewered? Like, how is it defined just specific properties versus certain sections that have PFAS contamination?
This is a citizen warrant article.
It's a citizen
So
article.
they have requested that those properties to go in.
So the
If
rest
anyone
will
else
follow.
wants to do
Okay.
the same thing, they can do the same thing.
I
Thank you.
would expect that if this were to pass at town meeting, we might see the rest of what going to be.
For annual.
Whether it be town sponsored or citizen sponsored.
And so like Sandy Road, they were trying to do one lot. And then came back the next year and they extended it out to 104, 107.
Yeah.
So, and they're trying to capture it.
Dave has this, yeah.
Dave, go ahead. Sorry.
No, so I probably have a pretty unpopular point of view on this, but so my concern is, and listen, PFAS is real, PFAS is a concern. I'm not sure how putting these in the sewer district is gonna make that better. Because rain is still gonna fall on the open space and it's still gonna permeate through the ground and it's not gonna go into sewer. It's gonna go into our aquifer. My concern here is that these are part and package of a development plan to downzone a couple of these lots. And I don't think I'm the only one that heard at town meeting how the town feels about that right now. And those are the same people that voted for many of us that sit here. And so I just have a real problem with it. And that's my point of view. I don't think it's this innocent sewer change because there's PFAS, because I really, and I invite anyone on the board to educate me on this, because maybe I'm wrong, but just because we sewer it does not mean that all that PFAS dirt is, that the PFAS problem's resolved or even close to resolved.
They all have town water now, right? I mean, they have to.
Can I speak as the Conservation Commission
Yes,
representative?
yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So Dave, what you're saying is true. You know, you're not necessarily gonna solve the PFAS issue by adding this to the sewer district. But what you are going to do is minimize the additional impacts that are being created on that lot. So taking these lots and sewering them, removing the septics, which we know are a huge source of nitrogen runoff and environmental contamination in the public wellhead recharge district is going to lessen the impacts on the aquifer and water resources as a whole, and is going to cause beneficial outcomes for our water resources on island. Obviously, in order to get rid of the PFAS itself, you're going to have to do remediation and mitigation on site that has nothing to do with this. But what you're doing by this is minimizing future impacts and causing a beneficial environmental change to the aquifer while still hopefully remediating the PFAS contamination that exists. Thank you.
Can I respond?
Go ahead, Dave.
No, and thank you. I think you're 100% accurate, but we're throwing PFAS in here like it's, like it's the magic word, and that's how we're going to get this passed. And I 100% understand what you're saying and believe that. My concern is just the bigger picture of why this is going forward and what this represents in the end game of the person who put this forward. Thank you.
Okay. It's one of these topics get so heated and so dug in. It's not as simple extending sewer or not, and there's all these other moving parts. I just wish that we were dealing with the R20 piece of this area, because that needs to be sewer. I mean, R20 doesn't really work very well without sewer and water. You can't really do a lot on the property. Not enough, but
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I'd like to make a motion to support this article and see where it goes.
Is there a second? Second.
Okay.
Oh, no. So go. Oh, I know, I agree. This is. This is where we get into the whole. This is not new. Just moving to a different place. We never wanted to touch Evergreen, and then everybody wanted it changed. I got that burned into my head. So, what do you got, Joe?
No, what he was talking about, the environment being on the wellhead, I think that's really important. If we can get some of the toxicities of the sewer systems out of there, I think it would be really wise. I mean, otherwise, what do they want to do? Type things. I think this is an important part of it. And I mean, you gotta go back. We're pointing all figures at the airport, but it's also Walt Bragg's old bit, his dad's old bit, but there's a whole part of this that's been developed that I think, is gonna cause the problem with PFAS. And I said that earlier, but I was really meant to go in. That's where I think we really need to be careful. Do I like it's just a citizen article? No, but I think that there will be some net benefits by the neighborhood all being able to get on this. So maybe that's something that dies at town meeting, and then it comes back and changed and altered for the neighborhood. But
That's a clarification question, please.
yeah, go ahead.
So Megan, so the one that we supported already today at this meeting at 44 Skyline, that's also in the same zoning map as 13 and 13A Woodland. They're both plugged to, right?
That's correct, and I believe 42 on the incidents as well, but it's a one district.
Or just
Half of it is.
42?
No, the 13.
No, most of 13 is, there's a triangle within 13 that's R20. The surrounding area is left to, let me see if I can pick up.
Don't have
But
it here.
and then I can show the overlay of the public wellhead recharge district, which really is the larger during what the underlying zoning district.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. It just seems like we should be having consistent recommendations if we're supporting one-on-one property in the same area with the same zoning and the same recharge, and we should support it on the other property as well. Otherwise, it seems arbitrary. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
While she's getting that.
Yes, go ahead, Christina.
So I guess I didn't quite understand when we voted on the first one.
Yeah.
So that might change. I guess we can't go back and change, but does it seem to your point, Nat, that it would make more sense not to necessarily support individual citizens articles, but actually support a town supported article that would cover not be specific to one property, but to a certain section or a certain area to address all the issues, which I completely support what you say, Seth, on the wellhead district, but as opposed to supporting individual citizens articles, I would feel more comfortable supporting a town supported article from the sewer department.
With sewer, it
With the-
definitely,
By the
it's
sewer
true.
department.
I mean. If I knew.
Nat, I have a new question.
Just go ahead, Mary.
So looking at the article that's posted on the select or on the town website, it says change them to R5. And why are they going to R5 and not R20?
That,
Again.
because they want,
Case in point.
it's got a plan that, and again, that is never gonna pass town meeting. I'll say that right here with the owl looking right at me with one eyeball. That is not gonna pass. But the reason is, I'm assuming workforce housing bylaw, Megan, I'm guessing. There's enough land to make that work in the workforce housing bylaw. Has to
So,
be.
I mean, not that we're getting into the zoning
I
aspect
know.
of that, we will have public hearings for that, but I think you could see your way around spot zoning because of the public benefit with your
Yeah.
housing and things like
The
that.
housing, I know.
That's kind of a separate sort of.
Yeah, and I understand that, but unfortunately, you know, we all have to live here and shop at the same store, and this just because this is not technically at the planning board under zoning, it's still tied to it all. I do agree that this area needs to be have some, I don't like using the word comprehensive, but whatever, a comprehensive look at the whole, what is gonna happen and what isn't gonna happen in this little node of, because once that water went through there, you got more ground cover now that you can use with a septic, because you don't have to have that separation. So you do gain a little bit of what you're already allowed to do, but now you can actually do it. And you know, and it's gonna help people. I'm in favor of that. But to get into this controversy with the sewer versus the zoning, I mean, I see them as separate. But there's gonna be a huge gigantic discussion about that. This is what I'm adding on.
You got it.
So,
Yeah.
Dave, go ahead. Sorry. You're never gonna have dinner, so.
Oh, watch the Irish exit. Yeah, my problem is here, and I think Seth is 100% correct. My fear is that, okay, the zoning doesn't go through this time, the zoning doesn't go through the next time. We get the sewer in place, it's just a very slippery slope to all of a sudden we're at R5 and we're packing houses in there. And my personal opinion is this area has already supported enough burden with the development that's gone in the old Gowacki pit. And that this is, you know, adding insult to injury. And I think that the sewer change or the adding this to the sewer district is just the first step in that slippery slope. And that's my issue. Thank you.
So this is showing that all of Woodland is in the sewer district already. This is showing all of Woodland is in the sewer district already. As well as the parcels behind it. So there is no active sewer running through here, but it's showing that it's in the district.
Except for those properties.
Going home. This kind of cross hatching.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
It looks like the R20 pieces are in the sewer district and the lot two are not.
Is that correct, Megan?
I have to assume that it is.
That's correct.
According
Sewer
to this, I
overlay?
turn on the.
Didn't expect this. this kind of conversation, honestly. Hey, this should be,
Why don't you just make a motion to take no
I
action
think we
on
should be
this,
taking
and
no
then
action
further
on
review
both
of
of
the
them.
neighborhood.
to be honest. You know, I'd accept the motion to change that motion on the first one and have no take no action for now. You know,
Yeah, it looks like a lot more.
I mean, what do you think?
Well, I abstained because
Oh,
I'm gonna hear this as a sewer commissioner.
right,
And I kind of want to hear the sewer review
I mean,
first.
this is reminding me of the mid-2000s. When we had the cap and the gallons and
Bring Finn Murphy.
it's unbelievable, like, this is like
It's
like
good.
reminded me of that time, you know, when we were like saying, no, 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 no. No, we started to say yes. But for different reasons, it was capacity and all that, but we don't have that problem now, it's just a question of, this is a new way to try to change things without having the right mechanism, I think,
All right, Mr. Chair.
personally. Go ahead.
I will withdraw my motion on the 13 and 13A Woodland Drive, and then I have 3 other motions for you. They're all easy,
Hey.
but,
Busy.
Somebody's cooking. I can tell.
all right. The first motion on 13 and 13A Woodland Drive is to, send a letter, taking no action, but requesting that the town look comprehensively at this area as a whole. It's the
Yeah.
motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who seconded?
I seconded it.
Christine, okay, no, this. Couldn't tell.
Aye.
Okay, motion made by Seth, seconded by Christina. Dave?
Nay.
No, this was what you want. This is what you want.
This is
See, you're at a
action,
great
Dave.
point. There used to be telephones up there,
I
electricity.
listen, if you want a second for comment, I can go there, but I'm a nay now and you probably don't need my vote, so. Move
Okay.
on, Nat, move
All
on.
right, Joe, aye. John,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Mary,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
Wendy,
Aye.
Dawn,
I'll abstain.
Stain, and chair votes aye.
All right, ready?
Yes, sir.
Second motion is, make a motion to reconsider 44 Skyline Drive.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Seth, seconded by Wendy. All those in favor, Dave?
Aye, Nat.
Thank you, Dave. Joe? Aye. John?
Aye.
Seth?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Wendy?
Aye.
Dawn?
Abstain.
Chair votes aye. Thank you.
And
Seth,
third
thank you.
third
Oh.
motion,
Okay,
third motion is to,
oh,
move,
finish.
to take no action on 44 Skyline Drive, but to also
Same.
write a letter saying that we, ask the town to look comprehensively at sewering this area.
Okay. Seconded by Joe. Dave?
Nay.
Okay, Dave. Joe? Aye. John?
Aye.
Seth?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Wendy?
Aye.
Dawn?
Aye.
And
Abstain.
Hey, I knew that. I was gonna. And moving part. There is, and chair votes aye. Okay. Excellent. Are we done now?
We're done. Yeah.
We're done with this.
Yeah, with this piece, okay. Dave, what are you doing up there? Cooking seagulls or something?
Nat, I'm being consistent, okay?
I'm not sure about that. All right. Let's see here. Where we go? All right. All right, so. We're at the appointment now. We are. Using paper, correct, Megan? Leslie?
Yep, so
And-
anyone,
For anyone physically in attendance, is using paper, and obviously anyone that's online is using email to you, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and make sure you write your.
Consistent with select board's appointment process.
Yes, and after we hear the two candidates,
Yeah, speak.
and when you do vote, make sure you put your name as well
Yes.
as your selection.
Yeah.
On the vote.
Okay,
Yeah. Sorry.
I like to say that consistent thing. I think this is a good process that we've sort of all done now. What's it? It's. Who wants to go first?
Abby has to go first because we go in alphabetical order.
Oh, okay.
Detailed in the bylaws.
All right, Abby, you gotta speak up because we've got, you know, this noisemaker over here.
Okay, can you hear me?
There you go.
Okay. I'm just gonna read my statement. Thank you for considering me for the at-large member seat on the MP and EDC. I decided to express my interest for the same reasons I suspect many of you are on the commission, to be involved with the community here in Nantucket, and because civic service is something we find important and valuable. I am a year-round resident and soon to be homeowner on this island, so I'm personally invested in this community. Specifically for this commission, my professional qualifications are closely aligned. I've worked in financial services for almost 2 decades, and I have my master's degree in finance from the Carroll School of Management at Boston College. In addition to my background in finance, I have experience in accounting, planning, budgeting, forecasting, and project management, all skills needed in any long-range plan. To complement my professional experience, I have volunteer local community experience here in Nantucket, serving as a member of the Nantucket Historical Commission, as well as an alternate member on the Planning Board and a member of the Coastal Resiliency Advisory Committee and the Cannabis Advisory Committee. It has helped me deepen my awareness of the planning and preservation needs on this island. During this time, I've gotten to know my fellow commissioners, as well as many members of the public and local organizations, and created relationships with them. I've enjoyed establishing and cultivating relationships with members of the PLUS staff as well, from Holly on the NHC to Leslie, Megan, Catherine, and Billy on planning board. It's important to understand the staff and recognize the role they play in how our community is shaped. Respecting and learning from them has been something I have personally found very beneficial. What I have found vital for me is the development of an understanding of what the NP and EDC enabling legislation does and how its jurisdiction works alongside other boards, committees, and commissions. This in turn illuminates how it fits with the overall local government decision-making process, which is really important. The key characteristic I would bring to this commission is an open mind and willingness to listen, as well as a collaborative nature. I would approach each situation by listening to all sides and weighing the facts and data before making any decision. I do not have all the answers. I would always look to learn more before making remarks and plan to continue this approach. I hope you agree, and I'm able to be part of the island's regional planning and be an active, involved member of this commission. Thank you again for your consideration.
Thank you, Abby. Anyone have any comments? Anything? Okay, Hillary,
Okay,
thank you for coming.
So I can see everyone. Thank you for hearing my application to serve on this commission. I've spent the past, I guess, 5 years really doing a deep dive into this planning commission and the role of regional planning commissions across the Commonwealth. I've written a white paper about it, and of course proposed the legislation that, you know, I hope has been, even though it's been challenging and perhaps not always welcome, it has pushed the discussion in productive areas, and I think it will end up being very good for the community. I do want to mention just my, you know, the skills and the education that I bring to this commission. I graduated with honors from Princeton University. I earned an MBA from Harvard Business School. And I do also have training in accounting, project management, I've worked as an investor. I've worked in software companies where I had roles with strategic leadership. Really, the thing that I really enjoy is synthesizing information and proposing solutions. My activism on Nantucket after 15 years of residency as a seasonal plus, you know, more and more plus homeowner here has been, it started out with wanting to protect the historic cobblestone streets. And where it ended up was saying Nantucket actually really needs a historical commission and understanding the difference between the HDC, which is really about design review and building new to look like the old, and historic review and surveying. And that was a missing gap. It was in our legislation, but it didn't exist. So I am very proud to say that I helped create, I mean, I really, through my initiative, recruited people, applied to the select board, and that commission, you know, it wouldn't be here if I hadn't done that. And we hired a preservation engineer to come up with methods for preserving cobblestone roads. And those methods have been incorporated into the sewer plan. And all of those curbs are being saved as we pursue the sewer enforcement. So I just tell that story because it's an example of how I like to find solutions. And I like to discover things that maybe people haven't seen and propose them. And I think it really worked. So I think I bring a lot of diverse, long, professional experience. I continue to pursue education. I will be receiving a master's in preservation studies from Boston University in the fall. I'll finish all my work in the fall. I wrote a really fun paper on subdivisions and ideas for more innovative subdivisions, drawing on some of the designs from the 70s, both recognizing the good and bad. I'd love to share that with you. And I think the other thing is if you appoint me, you'll show that you're willing to have people on the commission who challenge you in ways that I think produce productive friction. And I also just want to say, like, I've gotten to know all of you over the past 5 years. I came like out of outer space. Nobody knew me. I've spent great times with Nat, Lowell, walking streets, and I really want to be on the same team with you. And I think I have a lot to add, and I say that with respect for everybody at the table, everybody. So I ask for your comment, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Gonna get in trouble for making a meeting take so long. So appreciate your time with everything, even if we don't agree. We agreed on curbing and certain things. You would have agreed with me at traffic safety the other day about Gardner Street. But we have to have a reset. So Mary, go ahead. Are you so sorry, Mary? I didn't see your hand. I apologize.
Thank you. Hillary, you have authored many reports and I've read some of them and I appreciate all the work that you do. I would like some clarification on your involvement with the 2019 report, Nantucket Watch, that came from the Audra Parker Group. Can you tell us if you were involved with that research and if you were involved in writing that report?
Nantucket Watch by Audra Parker.
Yes.
I had nothing to do, I don't even know anything about that.
Thank you. I wanted to clarify because I heard rumors and I didn't want to assume wrongly. Thank you.
You know, there are 1,001 rumors on it.
That report.
So thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. So Campbell?
Yeah, I had come just.
Oh,
because
okay.
I wanted.
No, I wasn't sure you were on, how that.
I know I've been here so long.
I know, I missed Zoom to here. You didn't say that you were coming physically on Zoom. So anyway, go ahead.
Yes, so anyway, Campbell Sutton to the record.
Yep.
I just wanted to come because this is an opportunity to hopefully expand concepts and thoughts on appointments. I had made a comment at the select board meeting, maybe 2 weeks ago, because we didn't have one last week, about really becoming more comfortable with diversification in our appointments, and not just based on people's culture or their color, but really based on their life experience, what they have to offer, and without preconceived notions on how they, of fear on how they may affect an outcome. In the end, it's one person, right? It's not everybody being reappointed. And I think to Hillary's point, and I don't know Abby, so this is nothing against anybody. I'm just trying to put forward, as I do at any of the appointments, if we could just expand our thoughts and view opportunities versus fear on how someone may or may not affect this, if they're qualified. If they're not qualified, you're not qualified. But if you are, I think that adding to the diversity, Hillary herself is not on any other commissions or boards, right? So she has a lot of time and ability to focus on this, whereas appointing another person that's already on 4 other boards and commissions. And just for a second, I'll go to my point on why that bothers me. Because a lot of times when things get to town meeting, when you have a number of people that are on repetitive boards, by the time their vote 4 times in 4 different places comes to town meeting, it seems like, wow, this is overwhelming to town meeting. There's so much support for it. When in the end, there's, 5 or 6 people that have voted 4 or 5 times on it as it comes up at different commissions and things.
Okay.
So I like to broaden that perspective and try and get more voices into the conversation to create a spiral and not a circle.
Thank you,
So-
Campbell.
Thank you.
I
Sorry.
know you're not going anywhere. You're always welcome. Okay? Okay, everyone, so we handing you the,
I'll walk around and flip.
How-
So please write your name and write your selection. Even Mary, please email me. Mary, is that an old hand or a new hand?
very.
Sorry, Megan, thank you for pointing that out.
That's okay, just wanted to make sure. I'll do the paper ballots first while I wait for Mary's name. So I'll just ask you to confirm that as I read it, that is in fact what you voted. Dawn, you abstained? Christina, you vote for Hillary? Wendy, you vote for Hillary?
Yes.
John, you vote for Abby?
Yes.
Joe, you vote for Abby? Seth, you vote for Hillary?
Correct.
Nat, you vote for Abby?
Correct.
Dave, you vote for Abby?
Correct.
And Mary, you vote for Abby?
Correct.
Congratulations, Abby. 5 for Abby, 3 for Hillary, and 1 abstention for Dawn and 0 for Hillary.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I just want to make a comment about something completely different. I want to personally thank Mary Longacre for her service. I've gotten to know Mary in a way that I'm amazed at her on a weekly basis. She is so committed to Nantucket. And I've just never met a Mary Longacre. Okay. And I remember asking Dawn about Mary, like, who is Mary? She said, oh, you're gonna like her. I said, okay. I just kind of took that sort of as like, well, she knows what she's talking about. I trust what she says. She was right. Mary, do not give up on your service, please. I'm asking you that from me. Okay? You got too much knowledge to just vanish. So with that said, I thank you so much for myself and the commissioner. Anyone else has any comments? You have the floor.
I just want to ditto everything you said. Thank you, Mary, for all you've done.
Agreed. Thank you, Mary.
Here,
Thank you,
here,
Mary.
here, here.
Mary, I worry that the negativity and the controversy is looking to set down, and I hope that you'll continue to pursue other endeavors with this town.
So I am still on tree advisory committee.
Something else?
But thank you all very much. I want to clarify there are several things going on. One is that I'm required to devote more time at work. So I just have less time overall.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Committee reports, Wendy.
Think I go first. The Rural Policy Advisory Commission did meet on May 31st, virtually. We spent time on the Beyond Mobility report that we had heard from Mike. There were the outcomes of that meeting were basically letters of support for the housing bond bill, comments on Beyond Mobility, a lot of things that were a little bit more Western Mass. I should ask, I failed to forward those to staff, but I should have probably just sent them to you guys. Is that the best? And then because there's related to housing and I never know exactly who it should go to. So I will forward that letter. I got it on June 4th and I apologize for not sending it. Whether it belongs in this packet is up to you guys too, I suppose. I did bring up the whales and the bridges for the Beyond Mobility. I think they declined to include that, but that was my big thing that I was trying to raise the flag about since last time. I think there was one other thing. Oh, and just along the lines of communication, there's going to be a push to try to create a quarterly newsletter coming now that Dan Goby, now that it is in office, now that they've got staff. We're going to try to get like a little bit more frequent updates on, what was discussed and who are our guest speakers, that kind of thing. So look forward to that going forward. And Linda Dunleavy, who we all have met before, had a very hysterical mock-up newsletter. So I know the real one will be great.
Okay. Capital programs, Barry's not here right now. So Affordable Housing Trust, Dave. It's a full-time job.
Is he gone?
Dave, he might have left.
He pulled his Irish accent, just like.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah, okay. Bert's not here. BPAC, Joe?
So, next month or the next meeting, we're gonna have, the Lane Day Bike Park coming up, which I think is really kind of exciting. Maybe Christina can expound on it, but, right now they're in, taking a poll of what aspects you really think we should do and stuff like that, as far as what would be helpful to the kids and pump tracks and et cetera. And then what would be really great is, getting up Milestone Road, being able to go in there and then you can drop it indoors and enjoy the trails. So I think this is really going to be a win for the land bank. I'm really excited for it. I'm on the committee for it. But it's kind of nice to have both chairs being on the land bank and the feedback for this. So I think it's kind of August, some more drawings and schematic of what will come forward. So maybe by September, we'll have something that we can that we could share. And then maybe Mike could bring it forward, or when the land bank members come forward. But I think it's something that everyone should be paying attention to. I think it's gonna be successful as most of the other properties like the dog park and the Hayes Park and stuff. So I think this is really the thing that they're talking. It's excellent. Seth?
Yep, so for the harbor plan update, we've been working through all of the sections of public comment and committee comments with our consultant Urban Harbors Initiative or Institute. And we're through every section except one, public access. And at this point, some chapters have already been completely written and reviewed. So I reviewed natural resources, and our consultants are going to be putting together a draft of the updated plan. And then we're planning for in the fall to have our second round of public comments related to that draft for people to weigh in on what was actually written. The first round of public comments last year was conceptual comments on what people wanted. Now it's going to be concrete comments. And then the next step after that is to take those comments into account, revise the plan, then submit it to the select board for adoption. And then if the select board adopts it, they'll have to submit it to the state for adoption. So we still have probably maybe up to another year left before it is completely finalized, but we are almost done with the hard work components that we need to do.
Excellent. Joe?
So Nantucket area plan, we've met, we've selected chairs from the subgroups. We're trying to schedule meetings while everyone's here. We're trying to get all that stuff done. But we'd like to next 3 or 4 months have most of the stuff done. There are outlines are all set up and ready to go. So it's really kind of filling the blanks and why everyone's in Nantucket, you know, kind of holds the people. So it's new.
Okay, just a quick, I'm just gonna throw a couple things in there that aren't on the list. Steamship. So things are settling down. I'll say that. There hopefully will be tentative agreement, the licensed deck offices hopefully soon. Talk to management today, just a little bit. There was a meeting that got postponed Friday because somebody couldn't make it. That was familiar. But if there is tentative agreement, we're not gonna see the Woods Hole Act. That's not gonna happen. But we will hopefully see less of some of these sudden cancel trips, which are extremely disruptive for people beyond a mechanical on weather event. And the other part of this, I said this last week, and Brooke came to the select board, to the steamship meeting that was on Nantucket, which was great for her to meet some different people, is these new boats. If everything goes right, middle of July, the first one, the Barnstable, is the name of the one that's coming up first. That will be brought to Fairhaven, to the terminal over there. And hopefully, if everything goes right, there'll be a lot of sea trials happening with the captains and pilots and crew on their days off, which is what they're hoping for. And we could get lucky and have one of those boats, have that boat down on our run in August, if everything goes right. That is a big if, but there are positive things happening and we will be back to normal. But a difficult summer. And maybe Christina, I know you're not on the Washington Street Committee now, but I don't know if it's the right thing to put it on here for an update, but maybe we can next month. I mean, there's a few things I could say, but I mean, it's a robust discussion, I can tell you that. And it does tie in a little bit to this 81 and the stuff that the gentleman that came on the water, on the stormwater guy for the town. I've never met him before. I don't know how I've missed this guy, but he knows what's going on. And there's a lot of moving parts with Washington Street, just like any other, like Easy Street, like all of that. And what I'm trying to do personally is just to make sure that we don't overlook something that we should be doing. Whether, it doesn't matter what what the outcome is, we gotta make sure we don't miss anything. So anyway, I think it's gonna be a great, once we decide what we're doing with Washington Street down the road, it's gonna be a huge thing for the town. And talk about long range planning, that is about as long range as you can get, because there ain't nowhere else to go. Except Washington Street with everything that comes off the boat. So that's it for me. Is there any other business anyone has they want to add? Otherwise, accept the motion to it. Oh,
Thank you all.
this is your last
been a
meeting.
pleasure.
I'm sorry about that,
Brooke
Dawn.
is
Yeah.
going to take a turn for a year, and I'm going to go into capital program committee.
Yeah,
So
that's
in the
great.
interest of changing things up a little bit,
Those are the kind of things that work by
I think it
themselves.
will be positive, and she's obviously keen to get
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Don, so much.
Thank you.
All right, motion to adjourn by someone? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Well, we gotta do roll call. Dave's gone, Joe, John,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Mary's still there,
Aye.
Christina,
Hi.
Wendy,
Hi.
John, chair votes aye. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mary, thank you. Mike, thank you.
Yeah.